Philip Kisia is a governance and leadership expert. He's here with us. Good morning.
Good morning, Eric, and apologies for coming in late. I was right on time.
And then
I found
the trees have been planted.
Your entry was blocked, so I couldn't come in.
We're planting trees.
Planting trees, very good.
Big trees.
Big trees.
All right, I've not seen one, but it's okay.
Happy tree planting day.
I haven't seen one.
Are you planning to plant trees today?
Well, I've always planted trees.
So you answer the question.
I've planted trees and I don't need to plant today.
So
He's saying he doesn't need a day in order to plant trees. He's been planting trees.
I planted some yesterday and I plant others next week.
Not today.
So why not today?
What is so special about today? What is so special?
Hawa ndio wale watu tunasemaga
Wale.
watu wa
What
opposition.
is so special about today? You have just a holiday. We thank God.
It's special for you to plant a tree. Okay, anyway, welcome to the conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah. On matters of governance and all. So are you saying that it wasn't important to set aside a day to put the nation together and say, on this particular day, we are focusing on dedicating ourselves to the importance of greening the country, of the tree planting initiative, of setting a target, of going towards that target, and now that we have rainfall, let's actually take advantage.
Eric, I agree with the principle. Planting trees is something that must be encouraged. In fact, although it appears to be a pipe dream, because planting 15 billion trees, you will have a cover of 22% of the landmass of Kenya. So it's a good dream, it's a good vision. Whether this current administration will achieve it or not is a matter of wait and see. But it's a good dream.
We invited you so we can look at the President's State of the Nation address. Required by the Constitution to do so.
Yes.
And he went in accordance with the Constitution and he delivered the reports to Parliament and he handed them over to Parliament. And of course, he gave us an abridged version in the speech. What are the hits? What are the misses, in your opinion? Let's start with the hits.
Man, I really struggled. Even this morning, again, I really struggled because I wanted to be very objective. I woke up fairly early.
You struggle with objectivity normally?
I wanted to be objective.
Okay.
I wanted to be objective. And I've always been. So I went, as I was going through the state of address, power went off.
Okay, and on the 13th,
This superstition is just...
Power went off.
the bad omen. Yes.
But anyway, I was able to pick, I think, one or two things that made some little sense. I think it has made some little strides in education. Of course, there are a lot of minuses. Let's give him some credit in terms of security. He's been able to deal with bandits to some extent. There's put some fear. I don't know if it's sustainable, but he's done something.
Fear in the bandits.
He has put some fear. I mean, he's been fairly ruthless. That one we must give it to him. But I can tell you, I was expecting him not to start lamenting. That speech is full of lamentation. Oh, we took the economy, we took this one, geopolitics. Now, tell us what, as a president, you've done with the mandate we gave you, with the resources we've given you in the last 12 months. When I read that report, or a state of address,
State of the Nation.
State of Nation, I see, okay, the only thing I could see that by the time Uhuru borrowed 6.7 billion, him in 1 year he has borrowed 1.7 billion. I mean, that's what I could see.
Trillion.
What trillion?
Yes,
1.7 trillion.
Trillion, yes. No,
in a year, 1.7 trillion.
Yes.
Okay? Now, what else is in that speech that is useful? That speech lacked, it doesn't excite anybody. It doesn't, it doesn't give us hope. You've mentioned a few names. I met CT and I talked about to CT. He's on the Mujengo site and, he's... Then I picked one of my pet areas in that speech. Housing. This administration, just like his predecessor, his former boss, and when I told the team, you cannot build 500 or 1 million units in a year, and I gave reasons, then they stepped down to 500,000 quietly, and nobody asked, even the media. Then they kept quiet. They said, we're going to build houses. Now, William Samoei Ruto comes and says, I am going to build, is it 250 houses per year? 250,000 houses, units per year. Yeah. 250,000. I think in his address, there are 50,000. I don't know where those 50,000 units are, but he says there are 50,000 units. Okay? Then he talks about that this program is successful because he's been able to create employment. Is that sustainable? Because the housing gap, even if he is able to build 250 units per year, is that sustainable? Because it will get to a point where it gets saturated. Even right now, where is the uptake? Supposing he's able to build 250,000 units per year, where is the uptake?
So now,
where is the uptake?
In the speech,
he
said,
in my own view, in my view, I don't know about yours, but I didn't find anything exciting. He talks about agriculture, the price of coffee. My wife is a coffee farmer, and I spoke to her yesterday. She's in the farm. Okay? What is only going out is the expenses. She had 70 people yesterday picking coffee. They are being paid. I don't know whether we'll make any money. This coming year, when she eventually sells her coffee in the international market. Because where the markets, nothing has changed. We have Rigi G going to Colombia, taking photographs, and saying that, he's now found new market. Where are these markets? We want to know.
Dissecting the president's speech,
yes,
the State of the Nation address,
absolutely,
and looking at the various things that he spoke about. He spoke about, for example, the cost of living, and he said, these are the measures. The cost of living is a real issue facing the country, and we've got to put in measures that are not just short-term, but also medium to long-term. And this is what we need to do. We need to look at our production. We need to look at how we can support our farmers, how we can help our farmers get there. He spoke about that. He spoke about the state of the economy. And he said, you know what? The truth of the matter is we, for a long time, have been living beyond our means. And this is what he said. As I told Kenyans on my first day in office, times were difficult and many people are struggling, and necessary and effective sustainable solutions are urgently needed. We must admit that as a country, we had been living large and way beyond our means. Time has come, therefore, to retire the false comforts and illusory benefits of wasteful expenditure and counterproductive subsidies on consumption by which we dug ourselves deeper into the hole of avoidable debt. The new direction may not be easy, but it is ethical, responsible, prudent, and most importantly, necessary. We've had to take hard decisions and make painful choices because we owe to Kenyans to do the right thing and confront facts as they are without flinching or equivocating. We have worked hard at home and further abroad to mobilize a broad coalition of bilateral development partners, multilateral development banks, and other agencies which have rallied to pull our country back from the brink of debt distress and to set us firmly on the path towards sustainable economic growth. He says, we now have friends who can lend us cheaper than those other friends who are lending us very expensively.
Did those friends come to us to give us money? Did we go to them?
We went to them.
And when we went to them, we didn't know they were expensive.
No.
Now we suddenly figured out that they're cheaper.
That's what he's talking about. In the past, we were just living
and this living large. Have you been living large, you, Eric?
This government has been living recklessly large. The government has been living large.
You see, Eric, beautiful statement.
No, that's...
No, once I can see it, it's a beautiful statement. But what is on the ground? What is the reality? There is a disconnect between what President Ruto is talking about and what is really happening. He has talked about increasing production.
Yes.
And he mentioned a few measures that he has put in place to support farmers to improve production.
Yes.
One is the cost of fertilizer.
Yes.
Okay? As an input.
Yes.
But if you're a farmer Maybe you're not. You're born in the city. The city and myself, we have some village connection. We will tell you that the cost of production could be decreased to a certain extent if fertilizer was subsidized.
Okay.
We don't disagree. But the other factors.
Which are?
Immediately you increase the cost of, oil. And farmers use a lot. Cost of oil.
Yes.
Immediately the cost of living goes up. The cost of labor. And labor takes about, in farming, probably 40% of your cost. So what has he done to reduce the cost of living so that when you are deploying labor, the laborers don't expect a certain, wage that even a farmer cannot sustain.
Philip.
So 40%,
Are you
40% has not, there's nothing that has been done to deal with the 40%. You've dealt with about maybe 20-25%.
Are you saying
and then
that the benefit in the cost, in the lowering of the cost of fertilizer has been wiped out by the other factors?
Yes, completely wiped out. And
Is
then,
that what you're saying?
worst of all, that fertilizer did not reach most of the farmers. It reached certain areas. Certain areas. I can tell you, and I told you, we are farmers. We are coffee farmers. We never saw that fertilizer. So where did that fertilizer go to? I am told certain areas of this country
to the
got
maize
the fertilizer,
farmers,
certain areas, others didn't get. So are you saying other people are Kenyans and others are not Kenyans? But anyway, let us get to the issues.
Philip, let me ask you.
Talked about
before we move into those ones. Let's
no,
actually
let me
address
just land
the farmer issue.
Let
right?
me, yeah, sorry.
On the farmer issue, there are farmers who received subsidized fertilizer.
Some.
Yes,
Okay.
some farmers.
Yes, some.
All right.
Yes.
Are we saying that the subsidy, what the price reduction in fertilizer, was wiped out by the price increase in oil?
Of course.
So are you saying that
Of
there
course.
was no benefit at all to the farmer?
Almost zero. Almost zero.
That the cost of production
Almost
of maize
zero.
in that season compared to previous
I
seasons
have
is the
said,
same?
and you can go and check, labor in farming is almost 40%. So if the cost of labor is not manageable, the farmer is not making money.
Where do you get? Are you getting this from talking to a maize farmer who received the fertilizer?
I am a farmer.
Subsidized, but you did
I'm
not
a
receive
farmer.
the subsidy.
Where? We never got any.
Yes, so I'm
I
saying
have underspoken to a number of farmers. They never saw that fertilizer.
you're a coffee farmer, but
Of course.
we're
It's a
giving
cash crop.
subsidy to
And I
to
can
maize
tell you,
farmers.
and I can tell you even maize. And we stopped farming maize in 2006 because I'm telling you, it's a loss-making venture. You don't make money and if you look at again, the farmers are being forced to sell maize at a lower price. I think now it's about 3,200. Go and check how much the National Cereal Board is buying maize produced by the Kenyan farmers. Just go and check. You'll be shocked.
And
then look at the cost of producing that bag. It's a loss-making venture. So when you say you've subsidized farmers by being selective, giving a few farmers subsidized fertilizer, and the majority of farmers are not getting it, I mean, it's a scam. It's a total scam. Then, you talk about...
I would have gone with those words if you were actually telling me you spoke to X number of
I have spoken
farmers.
to farmers. And I come from Trans-Nzoia. I come from Trans-Nzoia, and that is the
bread
maize basket. Okay? And I've spoken to farmers. Most of them never saw that subsidized maize. And then the fertilizer.
Philip,
who was receiving it? Where was it taken?
Can I ask you a question, Philip? In your analysis, in your talks, and the things is there anything that this government has done that you can consider to be good?
I'm struggling. I'm really struggling to see what good so far has been done. I'm struggling.
Completely.
I'm struggling.
I mean,
people are in pain. Everybody's in pain.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but everybody's in pain.
I'm in pain, but
90% in fact, 95% of Kenyans are in pain. In fact, the only people who are not in pain are probably top government officials. Because the president talks about managing, living large. Yet he's living large. His government is living large. If you are to be serious, do you need to invest in capex? And capex, I'm talking about things like motor vehicles, gasolers, buying motor vehicles for people for 40 million shillings. Are we crazy? Using public funds. We are just moving in Nairobi, or even moving. Can't you use a Land Rover? Must you use a vehicle costing the public 40 million shillings, 25 million, 30 million shillings? Of what benefit are these vehicles to Kenyans? Can't we use the vehicles which Uhuru Kenyatta's administration was using? If it was your own money, city, would you be spending that money on things like motor vehicles? Look at travel. The president himself talked about taking austerity measures. Yet in 1 year, my friend, my president, has traveled 37 foreign trips.
Is that a bad thing?
If you look at a developed nation, developed, not underdeveloped like us, look at America. The president of the United States makes about 20 to 25 foreign trips in a term. Look at look at UK. Look at Japan.
Yeah, but if they are developed, they don't need to travel. We are the ones.
Exactly.
You are a beggar. You are spending money. You are talking about austerity. Austerity means you only use money that you must really use. You cut down what is not necessary. Must you make 37 foreign trips? And I can tell you, when a president makes a trip, it's not like you going to Kisumu. It is a serious.
What is this man saying?
That you don't go wind assisted. For the president. You city.
No, it's a serious matter. It is a serious matter. If we were to audit that account, and by the way, I don't have a problem with the head of state making these trips.
You don't?
Where is the report when you come back? Because in private sector like here, you top guys, when you are sent, you go on a trip, first of all, you must justify why that trip is necessary. You must justify. It must be in your plan. You can't just wake up and say, no, now I think I must feel good. I want to travel to Nakuru. It must be in your business plan. And when you come back, you must file a report and say, yes, these are the objectives were met. People just go on
But
trips.
he has talked about
People
those
go
things.
on trips in this country. They come back. The only thing they received at the airport and with some guys just, I don't know, they smile or whatever they are doing, but they are receiving.
Philip,
And
every time the president travels out, okay, let's just be objective here.
I am.
Before he travels out,
Yes.
there is an advisory that's released, actually by the State House spokesperson. The president is due to head to this country
Yes.
for this kind of meeting. He'll have this side of bilateral meetings and talks. When they're there, we see communication. The president has witnessed the signing of this kind of deal, this kind of agreement. He's held this meeting, he's attended this and that meeting. And when he comes back, there's that report. Now, you want him to say, when I went, I came back and we got a 10 billion shillings.
You see,
Some of those things you'll realize later.
No, Nani,
When you
let's
attend
take-
the meeting.
Let's take this trip to China.
Okay.
Let's say China
Yes.
is the best example. The Prime Minister for Ethiopia went, had side meetings, had bilateral, not China, the Prime Minister for Ethiopia, Abiy. He can justify that trip. He came back with SGR. Money from the Chinese government. He came back with something. What did Kenyans come back with? Other than money from Huawei, some little money,
But that was money, was it not?
30 billion came with
Was it
Huawei.
not?
How much,
Was it not?
30 billion from Huawei.
There was signing of a pact between a a Chinese company and the Concert Technopolis. Okay?
Okay.
We saw that.
Does that need a president? Does that
He
type
was
of
there, he
assignment require
witnessed.
a head of
He
state?
was there, he witnessed.
I'm not asking you a question.
there was
Eric.
conversation.
Does it require a head of state?
There was conversation
Can't you send your minister?
about
Meeting
SGR.
a CEO of a private
There was
company.
conversation
Huawei.
about SGR. There was conversation about the pending road projects that are to be completed. Pending road projects signed needing to complete for completion.
Which ones are these?
I don't know. But
No, which one? Which roads?
Let's say there are
You,
many.
you are the
There are
one.
many.
You know. Eric talked about their reports which are filed back.
I cannot tell you the 25 kilometer.
You are respected. You are respect. We respect you, Eric. Those reports that were filed back. Which road?
Philip.
Which road is the Chinese government going to fund? And it is in the public domain. We all know that this particular administration said we shall shut out China. And I suspect when they went out, China gave them a cold shoulder.
No.
I suspect.
No.
I suspect.
based on what?
Why
Philip.
The
Based on
relationship
what?
is not cordial. Come on, let's be serious.
Not really.
It's not
I cannot speak about the relationship.
It is not cordial.
The
Because-
relationship with this administration?
Yeah, and China is
What
not
informs that? For example, what have we seen that would inform
cordial.
that?
You see, when, I like punching from the hip. You see, when this administration took over, they had no kind words for the East, and particularly China. And they demonized each and everything that Uhuru Kenyatta had done with the East, and in particular China. Now, they are on their steering wheel, and they have discovered that you may not make significant progress without support from the East, and particularly China.
You're aware?
In the last 12 months, 13
aware.
months, in the last 12, 13 months, show me a facility that has been signed between the Kenyan government and China.
See, we've just talked about one, Konza.
And even about the
During that
roads.
visit.
And the roads which are
And
being
the roads.
completed. Yes.
You see, when
Philip, you're aware.
when private farms
that
sign,
in this
private farms sign
Philip,
arguments,
just a minute. You're aware, I hope, that in this 1 year of the Kenya Kwanza administration, there have been senior Chinese delegations that have come into the country and met with the president, including the person who is currently a very senior person figure in the Communist Party.
okay,
Right? Delegations sent by President Xi Jinping to meet with President William Ruto. That's not a cold shoulder treatment between
No.
those two countries.
you see,
Not at all.
The president went to China
I
on
am
the
not,
invitation of the president of China.
I am not here, to praise anybody,
That's clear.
but Uhuru Kenyatta, at least, whether they could have eaten half of that money, but there's an SGR running from Nairobi, from Mombasa to Naivasha. Okay? I was expecting that when President Ruto was in China with a huge delegation, we would have now got money to move it from Naivasha to where a city comes from, and maybe to Malaba, and so on and so forth. It is stuck in Naivasha.
Duka moja.
There is no money to take it to Kisumu Dala and to Malaba, and so on and so forth. That's what I expected. Uhuru Kenyatta, at least, people talk, they could have eaten money, I don't know. I was not part of the Uhuru Kenyatta government, but this road has really saved, because it took me, other than your entry being blocked, from my house in Lavington to here, it took me 10 minutes. You can see there's something. You can see. You can see
That's
the
not the
things.
government of China.
The
expressway
You can see.
China.
is a private investment.
It doesn't
by a
matter.
Chinese company.
You can see the things that were done.
Philip, let me just ask you a
You
question.
can see-
Let me ask you a straightforward question. What beef do you have with this government? Because
I have
you
no
clearly
beef.
have a beef.
Which beef?
I don't know. I want you to tell
No
me.
beef. I can tell you. I'm a Kenyan. Why should I have beef with my own country?
I have a beef, and I can tell you if you ask me.
I have no. You see, the problem is, people expect you to cover the truth. If we are doing well, city, I can assure you, I'll come here and tell you we are doing well. But if you are doing badly, my job is to tell the king you are naked, and you're completely naked.
Okay.
That is my job.
Philip, what would it
I will
look
not
like?
garnish anything.
Sure. I think
I'm
that-
not here to garnish,
That's
because how do I
understandable.
benefit?
That's understandable, Philip. But what would it look like? For example, if things were going well, what would you look at and say, actually, this is a step in the right direction that you would then be able to pull upon?
Low-hanging fruits. What explanation do you have? All your neighbors are reducing the cost of fuel, and you're citing the war between Russia and Ukraine.
No.
I'm just saying
It's Israel and Palestine.
Israel and Palestine.
Yes.
Okay? Because now Russia and India was about wheat. Okay.
Yes, please.
So why your neighbors, immediate neighbors, including a landlocked country, is reducing the cost of fuel?
Okay, so lower cost of fuel.
Okay.
What else would we look at? Yeah.
When Kibaki took over, in the first 100 days, free primary education. The reverse is happening with this administration. The cost of school fees, the fees has gone up. We were promised free secondary. I don't know if it's happening. I don't have, university fees is going, everything is going up. There is nothing that is coming down. Taxes, getting out of the window. I don't know, maybe you guys don't pay tax, but people are, I mean,
is there anybody in this country who doesn't pay tax?
When you have an administration sitting, when you have an administration that refuses to recognize the fact that there are certain things that are a right to a citizen, an ID is a right. You want to charge somebody who's come from school 1,000 shillings or 2,000 shillings for replacement of you. People who want young children who don't even have nowadays we don't even take dowry. I don't know the people we don't take because you don't want to put the young couple into pain. This government is saying if you want to get married, we are going to put it through pain because we are going to demand for dowry.
Okay.
Where does this happen?
Time is over.
Where does this thing happen?
Hey,
Where does it happen? Only in Kenya.
Wamesema wanataka ng'ombe ngapi?
Only in Kenya. They are asking you, you have no job, you want to start a family, and a government, your own government, is putting you through pain. We stopped asking for, as parents, we stopped asking for dowry. We have a government asking for dowry by force. You will pay 100,000 shillings to get married.
Aye.
My God.
Philip Kisia.
Oh my God.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.